Welcome to the second bonus section of this course, and this time around we'll talk about Notion add-ons. Now, since Notion released their API, which is basically their way for other developers and other creators to interact with Notion or to basically build tools on top of Notion, there have been a lot of new tools coming out that allow you to enhance the functionality of Notion in many different ways. And we'll check out some of these examples on what you can do with them in this section of the course. Probably the most popular example of these tools are website builders. So basically ways for you to use Notion as the basis or the fundamental structure for your website, and to then have an add-on that basically actually turns your Notion pages into a full-blown website with all the bells and whistles that you might want to have. But there's also other things like online course builders that build on top of Notion, or Notion enhancements that allow you to import data from various different tools into Notion to build charts, and that help you to centralize all your data and all your information in Notion even more. So there are lots and lots of different tools, and again, this is completely up to you. If you don't want to know about this, this section isn't necessary, but the interest for some of these things is just so big, or has been getting so big, that I wanted to include a section on this in this course as well. And just as a disclaimer, these tools are usually developed by third-party developers, which has a couple of kind of risks and downsides that you need to take into account when using these tools. So first of all, you don't always know who these third-party developers are, what their intentions are, and so on. So please keep in mind that there could be some untrustworthy add-ons as well. It's an open space. You can basically, like, anybody can create an integration and do something like that. So please be aware and don't just use anything that you see just because it says Notion something, right? And also with third-party developers, you sometimes have to take into account that it's not guaranteed that they will actually continue the development of their tools. So, if you have a solo developer that's building an integration or like an add-on for Notion, and they don't really get a return on that because not too many people are using it and stuff like that, they might just drop the support for the tool entirely. And if you kind of build up your business or your Notion organization on top of that tool, then you might have a hard time after the tool goes offline or doesn't work anymore. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't use these add-on tools. Some of them are really great. They're like really well engineered and really well supported as well. And they are there for the long term. I just wanted to give you a quick reminder to be aware and to check things twice if you aren't quite sure if something will actually stick around and stay for the long term. All right, so let's dive right in. And how we're going to do this is I'll just go through some of these options and some of these different tools and give you a really quick rundown of what you can do with them so that you can get a feeling of which tools are available and which aren't. And there will obviously be lots and lots of additional tools coming in the future. So I'll also link to a resource that has lots and lots of different tools that are available and that basically allows you to filter through them easily. So you'll find the link to that in the description down below. All right, so let's start off with website builders on top of Notion. First of all, we have Super, which is the most popular Notion website builder, and it's also the one that we'll be using later in the section to create a full website in Notion. To compare how these different Notion website builders differ in popularity, I actually got the website visitor numbers for these tools, and Super currently gets 550,000 visitors every month approximately, and with that it is the most popular tool. Again, it's super easy to use, super clean, and we'll use that later to build websites ourselves. Next we have Simple Ink, which is also a popular website builder in Notion. They get around 200,000 monthly visitors to their website, and they also offer a tool called Notion Forms, which basically allows you to embed forms into your Notion website, to use that to collect email addresses and things like that. So it's also a really popular choice and a tool to look out for when you're looking for a Notion website builder. And lastly, we have Potion, which gets around 40,000 visitors a month. month. So it's the least popular option of these three, but it's still a tool that's used by a lot of people and something that you might want to consider when looking for a Notion website builder. Next, I want to talk about analytics and data tools for Notion. There are two of these that I want to talk about. The first one is called Notionlytics, and it's basically a way for you to track your visitors to your Notion page. So if you have a open Notion page, for example, you share the Notion page with the web, then you can use this tool to track how many visitors the site is actually getting. You can see what the visitors are doing on the page, how long they're staying on the page, and so on. So it's basically like Google Analytics, but for Notion pages. Next, we have Notion Metrics, and this tool allows you to basically import and show and visualize data from external tools in Notion. So for example, if you have an online business that's running on Shopify or Stripe or Square, then you can basically import data from those tools into your Notion account. And you can create visualizations and charts to basically build Notion dashboards that show you, how well your business is doing. And again, it's a nice tool to help you centralize all of your data and all of the information about your business inside of Notion directly. Now, especially with these tools, and more importantly with the Notionlytics tool, so the tool you use for basically tracking your website visitors, it's important to understand how they are compliant with rules like the GDPR and so on, because obviously that's important. So I would really highly advise you to check that out and contact them about that, because it's not quite clear how you can actually implement that while being GDPR compliant. So that's something that you should definitely be taking a look at and looking out for, because again, these are like really small indie products that sometimes don't have the capabilities and the time to worry about all these things, but that might be something that's really important to you. Next, we have a social media tool called Q, which allows you to create and schedule Twitter posts and Twitter threads right inside of Notion. So that's great if you're very active on Twitter and you want a better experience of writing Twitter threads. There are countless tools that help you do that, but this is one of the nice options to do that inside of Notion. Next, we have course builders, and there are two tools that allow you to do this. The first one is called Noggin. Now this is still in the beta version, so it's not available to everybody yet, but again, it allows you to basically create online courses right inside of Notion, to add payments to that so that you can actually charge for these courses. And you can basically protect the course materials from being seen by everybody, having a paywall only for paying members, basically. So that's a really nice tool, and again, something that you might want to check out in the future. They're not available yet, but they will probably go out of beta soon. Now the second tool is called Float, and this also allows you to create online courses on Notion, basically. They do have a public version already, so they're available and you can check them out. I haven't personally tried it, but it might be a great option for creating online courses. Lastly, I want to talk about some add-ons that basically enhance your Notion experience. First of all, there is the Notion Enhancer, which basically does exactly that. So it allows you to customize your Notion workspace. For example, you can create custom themes for Notion. You can change colors and so on. So it's more about visually changing how Notion looks than anything else, but still a great tool that you might want to check out. Then there's a tool called Notion Extensions, which has several different really useful features that many people have been missing in Notion for a long time. So for example, you can also use that to create recurring tasks. You can use it to sync your Notion workspace with your Google Calendar and many things like that. So that's definitely something that you might want to check out, especially if you feel that there are certain things missing in Notion that you would like to be able to do. The chances are good that you will find some of these in the Notion enhancements features. And lastly, a nice project that I found is called Notion to Charts, which basically allows you to create visualizations from data in your databases. So if you have a database of client data or something else, like for example a survey for your clients or a survey from your employees, then you can use this tool to visualize that data and to create charts from the data that you already have inside of Notion. Again, there are countless additional Notion add-ons add-ons that you can use and that are out there, but we can't possibly talk about all of them in this video. So what I'll do instead is to link to the more complete list of resources and add-ons that are available for Notion. And yeah, you can also just research for yourself to find if there's any other tools in areas that you might want to have add-ons for. So feel free to do that as well. Other than that, in the next videos, we'll take a look at Super, and we'll actually build a full website using Super and Notion. So stay tuned for that.